Hey, welcome back to Tri-Tool Technologies. Hey, we did a previous video on RBL-G2, the 614 here, setup procedure with standard blocks. We're just going to come back and I got some of the OD trackers. So when we're doing thin wall, Schedule 10, Schedule 5 applications, especially when you get in large diameters, we have out of roundness, portability problems. So I'm going to show you how to change that out when you're in a machine and get that additional OD trackers in the accessory. I went ahead and already put one on just to help time frame. You can leave the standard trippers on and have them disengaged, or you can remove them. So I've removed our standard tool block here. And what we have is we have a steel adapter, multiple holes. It actually is registered for the tool slot. So we'll go ahead and just stick that in there. So as you step down sizes, you can move this adapter block down sizes, and then also the main tool block's going to move down. Tighten up all those. So you notice the plate is about a ½ inch away from the contact surface on this other side. Grab our other tool block. So this tool block also has a 2-inch wide tool slot, similar to the standard block. Go ahead and line that up. You notice the bolt holes over here on this side are about every ½ inch. So what we're looking when we first set it up before we release the spring pressure on the block is you want to have about a ½ inch gap right here in between this stem on the tool block and the OD of the pipe. So now that we have our tool blocks on, we got them halfway from the pipe, ½ inch. We have the wheel still retracted, but we're going to go ahead and release the wheel pressure. And there's a bolt, 2 bolts in the back, and all we're going to do is remove those. And as we're removing those bolts, it's taking the spring pressure off, and it'll put your tracking wheel right on the OD of the tube. This will allow this tool block to float as it goes around the outer roundness or a seam. So now once our tracking wheel, which is right here on this side, right there, contacts the pipe, these bolts are going to get loose and we'll want to remove them. Now we have both tracking blocks with the wheels touching. What we are using for our drive is electric heavy duty that I showed in the other video. It does have a pendant control, a gearbox, 2 gearboxes, and a variable speed, which gives you a large range of RPM, whether you're running with carbide sever or high-speed tooling. We're going to go ahead and put our tool bits in. Like I said, we have a 2-inch wide tool slot. We're going to sever single bevel, so we'll have a lot of spacers we need to put in to locate the pipe. What we'll want to do is with our star wheel on the outside is we'll go ahead and run our tool block down. And with the sever bit, we want to find the highest location. We'll go ahead and we'll touch off our sever bit. And then we're going to back it off just for safety 3 turns. We'll take out the backlash, which is a loose portion on the star wheel, and go ahead and time it so as it trips, it's feeding in. Go ahead and put our bevel bit in at that same high location. Run that tool block down with the bevel bit in it till we touch off on that same spot, and we're going to back that off 3.5 turns. Take out our backlash, time it. The last thing we have to do is go ahead and put on our trigger pin. Now on this particular machine for this size, a 14-inch, There's two locations because we're not using standard trippers, but we're going to be using as an OD tracking module tripper, and they go on locations on the outside of the machine, and that's what hits that star wheel and advances it in. So we went ahead and got our tripper bolted on here on the outside for just the OD trackers. There's multiple positions as you go to the size range. Now these same OD trackers can run on this machine from a 14-inch, and it can cut all the way down to the 7. But these same OD trackers can go all the way up to our 60-inch machine. When you set your tripper mechanism, you want to put about a 15,000th gap in between the star wheel and the tripper itself, where the tripper pin is. We have a safety tripper, so your hands round from behind it, and you can disengage and engage if you need to skip feed if you're trying to make a different size land thickness. So with the safety guard in front of there, it keeps your hands away from a pinch point. Another thing to mention with safety here, with this heavy duty electric motor, we talked about the RPM control you have, but it also has a pendant control. So it gets the operator, once the tripper's engaged, farther away from the equipment. And so that's good for safety. So we'll go ahead and get started on this cut. Go ahead and we're sever beveling right hand 37.5 degrees on this piece of 304 stainless steel. And right now the blocks are actually traveling up and down with the outer roundness of the tube. So you notice there at the end, I was doing a little skip feeding, and you could do that as you're cutting to actually control your land thickness. So if you wanted your land thickness when I was cutting, thought it might be a little bit thin, so I let the sever bit go and not the bevel bit, and that got me a little bit thicker of a land. So we ended up, we got a nice consistent land because we tracked our ovality of the pipe, and we got a little 30-second land on there. We're good to go.